When people think about the United States military, they often imagine one giant force working together. But in reality, America's military is divided into different branches, each with its own mission, culture, history, and way of fighting. Three of the most misunderstood branches are the Navy, the Marine Corps, and the Coast Guard. All three operate on or near the sea, all wear uniforms, all use ships and aircraft, and all have fought in America's wars. But they are not the same thing. So, what exactly is the difference between the Navy, Marines, and Coast Guard? To understand that, we first need to go back to the beginning of the United States itself. Before the United States became an independent country, the American colonies had no national military, but everything changed in 1775. In April of that year, fighting broke out between colonial militias and British forces at Lexington and Concord. The American Revolution had begun. The colonies suddenly needed organized military forces to fight the British Empire, so the Continental Congress created America's first military branches. The Continental Army was established on June 14, 1775. The Continental Navy was established on October 13, 1775. And the Continental Marines were created on November 10, 1775. These organizations later evolved into today's U.S. Army, Navy, and Marine Corps. The Coast Guard would come later. In 1790, Treasury Secretary Alexander Hamilton proposed creating armed ships to stop smuggling and protect customs revenue for the new nation. Congress approved the idea, creating the Revenue Cutter Service, the organization that eventually became today's United States Coast Guard. The United States Navy is America's primary sea warfare force. Its mission is simple: control the oceans. The Navy protects global shipping lanes, projects American power across the world, launches missiles and aircraft from the sea, and supports military operations on every continent. The Navy operates aircraft carriers, nuclear submarines, destroyers, cruisers, and amphibious assault ships. Fighter jets, helicopters, drones. The U.S. Navy is one of the most powerful naval forces in human history. Unlike armies, navies allow countries to fight far away from their own territory. That became important very early in American history. After the Revolutionary War, American merchant ships were attacked by pirates in North Africa during the Barbary Wars in the early 1800s. The Navy was sent overseas to protect American commerce and defeat the pirates. This was one of the first times the United States projected military power far from home. During the American Civil War, the Union Navy blockaded southern ports. The Navy also saw the rise of ironclad warships like the USS Monitor. After the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, aircraft carriers became the center of naval warfare. The Navy fought massive battles across the Pacific, Midway, Coral Sea, and Leyte Gulf. American carriers and submarines helped destroy Japan's Navy and cut off its supply lines. Today, the Navy operates globally. American aircraft carriers patrol regions like the Pacific Ocean, the Persian Gulf, and the South China Sea. The Navy also launches precision missile strikes, conducts special operations with the United States Navy SEALs, and protects global trade routes. The Marine Corps is often confused with the Navy because the Marines are technically part of the Department of the Navy, but the Marines are very different. The Marine Corps is America's rapid response amphibious assault force. Their specialty is getting troops from the sea onto land and fighting immediately. That means beach invasions, expeditionary warfare, fast deployments, and frontline combat operations. Marines are trained to operate with minimal support and move quickly into dangerous situations. That is why the Marine Corps is usually the first military force sent into a crisis zone. Historically, Marines were soldiers carried aboard naval ships. Their jobs included guarding ships, boarding enemy vessels, protecting officers, and fighting on land after naval landing. The Marine Corps became legendary during the Pacific campaign of World War II. Marines conducted brutal island invasions against Japanese forces. Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Saipan, Iwo Jima, Okinawa. These battles were some of the bloodiest in the war. Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Saipan, Iwo Jima, Okinawa. These battles were some of the bloodiest in the war. The famous flag raising at Iwo Jima became one of the most iconic images in American military history. Marines fought in some of the toughest battles of the Korean and Vietnam Wars. At the Chosin Reservoir in Korea, Marines fought their way out after being surrounded by Chinese forces in freezing conditions. After 2001, Marines fought extensively in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Battle of Fallujah became one of the largest urban battles fought by American forces since Vietnam. The Marine Corps is known for its intense culture and discipline. Marines pride themselves on being elite, aggressive, expeditionary, and highly combat-focused. Their motto is Semper Fidelis, meaning always faithful. The Coast Guard is the most unique branch of the U.S. military. Unlike the Navy and Marines, the Coast Guard usually operates during peacetime inside American waters. Its mission combines military operations, law enforcement, search and rescue, border security, and maritime safety. One of the Coast Guard's most famous jobs is saving lives at sea. They rescue stranded sailors, sinking ships, hurricane victims, and civilians in danger. Every year, Coast Guard crews save thousands of lives. The Coast Guard also fights drug smuggling, illegal immigration, piracy, and maritime crime. Unlike the Navy, the Coast Guard has direct law enforcement authority. During World War II, Coast Guard crews escorted convoys across the Atlantic and landed troops during D-Day. In Vietnam and the Middle East, Coast Guard units conducted patrol and security missions. So what are the biggest differences? The Navy controls the seas. It projects power globally and uses massive ships, submarines, aircraft carriers, and naval aviation. The Navy's mission is strategic and worldwide. At first glance, having three sea-related military branches may seem unnecessary, but each serves a completely different purpose. Together, they allow the United States to operate everywhere. They form the backbone of America's maritime power. Thanks for watching.